All right, beginners, we are working on literature. And what did we do last? Or what did we read last in literature? Christopher Columbus finally found who? A king and a queen to be his patron. So to pay for what? His trip. Because did they like his idea or did they not like his idea? They loved his idea. Remember, the king had a wise queen and she was in love with this idea of going and traveling and bringing Christ to other nations. And they really wanted to fund his trip, but were they able to? No, what happened? They were in war, and so they had no money to give to Columbus for his ship and for his crew and for food. So let's see what happens next. All right. And it says, so let me go back and actually, just because it starts up at a weird place, let me go back to this page and actually read a little bit really fast. But the king and queen had their hands full fighting the heathen Moors, who were holding part of their kingdom. Their royal treasury was empty. So they were fighting what? The Moors. They were fighting, and the Moors had part of their kingdom, and it said their treasury was empty. Here's their treasure box. It's empty. All right, turn the page, and let's follow with our fingers as my book tries to follow apart on me. All right. And they thought too that Columbus had asked rather much for himself. Columbus was told to bide his time until the Moors were driven out of the kingdom of Spain. So they're like, we love your idea, Columbus. Don't leave and find another king and queen. We will give you the money if you wait until our war is over. So let's see what happens. For 7 more years, Columbus waited. Can you imagine? He already waited about a year or two with the first king who didn't want to fund him. And I mean, not with the first king, with this king and king to wait for an answer. And after waiting 2 years, now he has to what? Wait 7 more years. That is a very long time. He saw his money dwindle. And when his purse was quite empty, he had to go begging for food for himself and his son. So what? His money dwindled. That means he probably didn't have a good job right then to make a lot of money. So they had no money. They were poor. They had no food. So he had to go asking people for food to feed his little boy. On a dreary night, he came to a little cloister far out from the Spanish coast, where a reddish-tinted river falls into a wide blue Atlantic Ocean. It was La Reina Cloister. 7 kind monks lived there, and they welcomed Columbus and his son with open arms. There, Columbus found a haven. That means he found a place to stay. In the quiets of the little cloister, he finished his plans for his voyage across the sea. So did he waste his time thinking, we have a free place to live, we have food, let me just sit back and do nothing? No, he had to make a plan. He had to plan out what? Okay, maybe I can go this way, or maybe I can go that way to get here. I need to pack, how much food do I need to pack for me? How much food do I need to pack for my crewmen? And he has to think the sea is dangerous. I need to make sure I pack the right things. And then also, what else does he have to think of? There was something else I was going to tell you. Oh yes, the wind. If there is no wind, will the boat move? No, it wasn't a little boat that they can row down the stream. It was a huge, gigantic boat that needed what? A lot of wind to push it along. But what if he wants to go left, but the wind is pushing him right? He has to plan this out perfectly, all right? So there was a lot that he had to do. The monks helped him. They asked the queen's priest, who was a friend of theirs, to put in a good word for Columbus whenever he could. And when at last Moorish stronghold Granada fell to the Spaniards, the priest sent word to the cloister for Columbus to come at once. The monks lent Columbus a mule, and hurriedly he rode off to Granada. So, what happened? The king and queen are like, let's wait. You wait, Columbus. You wait in Spain, and we're going to fund your trip. And was it in a week? In a year? No, they had to finish fighting off the Moors. It took them how long? It took them 7 years to get their kingdom back. So now what happened? The priest said, go tell your friend Columbus that the king and queen need to see him right away. So Columbus hurried along, and the monks, the priest went and told the monks what? The king and queen need to see your friend Columbus. Send him right away. So the priests, I'm sorry, not the priests, the monks, they what? They went and gave Columbus what? A mule, and they sent him off. A mule is a donkey. All right, so monk, we're gonna learn in about 2 to 3 weeks what a monk is, a little more, but they work under the priest. So a priest is someone who can speak to people about God back then. And then the monks were the people under him, and they would dedicate their lives to pray to God and to worship God. And they would normally live in a little house full of monks. And these right here, these little bald-headed men are monks, all right? And see, remember it said they welcomed Columbus and his son with what? Open arms, and that's why their hands are opened. Okay, so this was it for our literature reading. Let's go ahead and get our page, and it should look like this, all right? And it says, in God's perfect time, friends helped Columbus along the path to success. How long did he have to wait? Remember how long he had to wait? 7 years. Who helped Columbus? The monks. Can you say monks? Monks. They typically had bald heads, and then they had hair around right here, like a crown of hair. Kind of funny haircut. All right, so our first one, we're gonna write 7 years, and after that, we are gonna write monks. Go ahead and press pause if you need to. Excellent job. All right, and then down here we have something called a crest. All right, can you say crest? All right, so a lot of times back then, in the Renaissance times, medieval, all right, people would have something called a family crest. And it would be something that has things that represent your family name. So your last name. So what's your last name? Go ahead and tell me your last name. If you don't know it, ask your parents. My last name is Herrera, but translated Herrera means blacksmith. So on here, I would have something that would probably have swords or maybe fire, because that's what a blacksmith is, someone that works with metal to make, and fire to make swords and weapons and armory or something like that, blacksmith. They made, not even that, they made like keys, or they can make doorknobs. All right, so I would have something to represent my family's last name on here. So from looking at this crest right here, I'm thinking this is probably the king's crest, because I see a crown up here. I see some lions with more crowns. I see it looks like a little tower. All right, this is a very fancy family crest. So this is probably someone pretty up there. So this is probably the king's family crest. And why do you think it has the king's family crest? Because what? The king is finally gonna do what for Columbus? He's probably gonna finally give him the money that he needs to fund his trip, but we need to find out and wait, because the king can still deny it. We have to read on. All right, so go ahead and color this in as nicely as you possibly can. I know there is a lot of detail on here, so if you can't color it all, you can just choose to color the flowers or color a little bit, but just make sure you do your best. All right, and yeah, I will see you guys in your next literature video. Great job.